They put a paper cover over the sticky thing that everything adheres to like a gecko, which was probably pretty smart from the space scientists here. Every year we struggle a little bit with how to do the findings. For many years it was real-time wordsmithing, took hours with everyone yelling grammar edits to Clive getting crabby, and inevitably there being some mistakes in the final product anyway. So we're going to try something different, and I would usually hop up here with slides and just try to show our findings to you guys, but people are still sending me findings, so I'm going to try to distill them as best I can. Then after this session today, the XCOM will go in and try to make them presentable. We will send these up to headquarters and hopefully get some feedback. We'll send the Lori Glaze. Last year's findings were sent to Lori and Marshall, and we didn't really get we got some feedback from SMD. We didn't get a huge amount of feedback from HEO. So once again, we thank SMD for their staunch support of lunar science. One of the things that I also want to emphasize is that, you know, my door is always open. So if you want to hear about why decisions are being made, just feel free to ask. Someone sent me a message a while back, last week actually, asking about why something had happened the way it had. And I just said, okay, here's exactly why. I said, oh, I really appreciate that. So I'm always happy to do that. And as with many things, I also point out that the partial government shutdown earlier this year really threw a monkey wrench into LEAG planning. So this meeting took a lot of effort to overcome that, to get this meeting scheduled. And it had a lot of trickle-down effects. This is one of the reasons why we didn't have a standalone CAB meeting this year. It was more or less all related to the partial government shutdown and relating to that. So the more we can avoid those, the better for everyone. Okay, so here's some of the findings that people have sent to me this morning. I think we need to say something about Artemis. It's the big elephant in the room. I think everyone would probably agree that sending humans to the moon is a good idea. And I think one of the more controversial things is the 2024 date. I would contend that that the 2024 date has been serving as a very useful organizational and prioritization function. And I can say with some degree of insight that without the 2024 date, I guarantee you that nothing at all would be happening. So we need to sit down and think about things when you say, oh, you know, the date isn't realistic, or we don't support it, or it's too fast. You know, it's been 60 years since we had Americans on the surface of the moon. I would contend the sooner we fix that problem, the better, but that's just me. So, you know, I think we're going to have a finding about I think the way the finding will be crafted will be something or along the lines of the 2024 date is a useful way to prioritize the needed investments prior to the human lunar landing. We're going to have a finding on the National Space Council actually apparently requested that NASA, this was last month, take 60 days and develop a plan for sustainable lunar surface exploration. So I think we're going to have a finding up to headquarters going, you know what, LEAG has a lot of input and capabilities that could be brought to bear to help develop said plan, such as the Lunar Exploration Roadmap, and we'd kind of like to see it at some point. We have, I give Greg Chabers a lot of credit. Greg is not here, but Greg sort of stood up and very honestly explained the issues of sample mass and the current exploration system. So we're going to have a thank you, Greg, for standing up and taking a fair amount of abuse. But I think one point to make is that it's clear the Artemis system is very complicated, and we're going to have to, well, we recognize that there are physics and challenges involved with, you know, getting sample mass back from the moon through the current architecture. We would hope, like Clive said, we'd like to grow that number, and it's important to have input for curatorial requirements to make sure we can get the science done that we want to get done and bring the samples back. We have a lot of discussion underway about the New Frontiers 5 opportunity coming up. We'd like to thank Kurt Niebuhr for coming here to discuss that, but there are still, I think we're going to have a finding about how it is a strongly stated preference of the LEAG community that we keep New Frontiers 5 as it is. And if we're going to do any changes, there should be a regular process for doing that. Okay, we're going to have a finding about the ROSES 2019 call, forcibly shunting research into lunar samples into EW and excluding them from other programs. Many researchers rely on lunar sample studies to understand and make advances on the science of the moon and constrain instruments and models. This change was not communicated to the community effectively and has caused a number of consternation. Paraphrasing slightly, the NASA response to the LEAG meeting was somewhat inadequate and only said it was still under discussion. The community needs an explanation of the change and a timely remedy for the 2019 Roses Call. We applaud the myriad opportunities for science and exploration activities enabled by the LDEP program and are enthusiastic about the possibilities of conducting more missions to the surface of the moon, but we would appreciate a long-range plan and an effort to make that plan somewhat transparent. Okay, NASA serves the nation and U.S. taxpayers. Planetary science community, we have taken steps to incentivize teams to take advantage of the full spectrum of workers across the entire spectrum of gender, race, sexual orientation, disability, career stage, and other factors. Diverse teams are stronger and generate better solutions. Sustainability in space exploration involves more than technology and science and means bringing the nation along in a meaningful way. So we'll have a finding about that. The strategy of the moon document is good, but we would like to have some input into it, so the sooner that NASA can publicly release it, the better. Also, does it encompass all of the different activities going on within different directorates of NASA? There was some hints of stovepiping evident in the LEAG talks this week. We had a finding here suggesting that we need to continue to grow our capabilities in terms of CLIPS and LDEP to provide ample opportunities for science and exploration, that we have a good first start, but we need to have a clear evolutionary pathway. We need to do a better job of bringing the commercial, and LEAG has done this. We have a commercial advisory board, but we need to continue to engage that community and to make sure that the commercial community knows what capabilities the science community ultimately needs, so that there is a two-way lane of communication. Let's see here. The CAB recommends expanding the CLIPS program to include possible mobility solutions and also orbital solutions. The CAB recommends making the CLIPS model available for Class D and/or simplex missions. Let's see here. The CAB recommends consideration of CLIPS for providing lunar infrastructure. And let's see here. The CAB recommends we will do a better job of having virtual workshops to ensure that we can, again, build bridges between these two communities, and that there are many promising opportunities that might enable for development of critical lunar technologies similar to the DALI and LSTEP programs. So I think that's a pretty good set of findings. Are there any other comments or any other ones we're missing? Always a loaded question. Uh-oh, Clive's running to the microphone. Here comes Clive. Clive is here. Okay, go Clive.
Just an action item about revising the lunar exploration roadmap.
Ah, yes, very good. Is that it? Holy crap, we covered everything. That's astonishing. We did it. Woo. Okay, well, I'd like to thank, with that, I think we're going to bring this to a close. Everyone should give Amy Fagan, who wasn't here on the first day when I thanked her for all of her hard work. Everyone should thank Amy for all of her hard work. Far above and beyond the call of duty for this. It's been a good meeting. It's refreshing. It almost feels like we're back, but I think the trick is that now we have to make this work. And making it work is up to all of you. And at each and every moment, you have to sort of behave and act as if the success of the enterprise depends on you and you alone. Just carry that forward. We have a real opportunity here to make this work. Let's get it done. Okay, thanks everyone.